Welcome to my parlor. Welcome, traveler, to the Hidden Corner Finds. I am Joanne, and this is my humble store. Pull up a chair, stay a while, make yourself at home. What? Oh, you want to know what I'm selling? Everything and anything. In short, I have a passion for Ugh, why did it just bleep me? All I said was I have a passion for picking, I said. Yeesh. You can't say anything on YouTube these days without this censorship. Anyways, as I was saying, I have a passion for picking. For me, there is nothing more satisfying than finding a unique and forgotten item and uniting it with someone who will really appreciate it for years to come. Whether it's a soapstone carving, an old book, or simply a mug to make you laugh, I try and find something for everyone. My goal is to make you a confident buyer. Older items often have a lifetime of stories to tell. I strive to describe the good as well as the bumps and bruises they've experienced along the way. It's important that the pictures reflect what you will receive. To that end, I always encourage questions and will do my best to respond as quick as possible. Appreciate you stopping by the store. If you can't find what you're looking for, please don't hesitate to contact me. I'm always looking for new ideas and will keep an eye out for your item in my travels.
God damn it! Honey, what the happened to my action figure collection?
Whoops, gotta go. Bye.
Hello and welcome back to Toy Thursday with Johnny Tiger. Today's date is November 21st, 2024, and November 21st, just in case if you didn't know, it's the National Pumpkin Pie Day, and this is the day when a lot of people are baking pumpkin pies in the US in preparation for the upcoming Thanksgiving. Now, I don't know who started this pumpkin pie day, or why is it on this particular day. But I can tell you that pumpkin is one of the things that did originate in the America. In America, I'm not going to say pumpkin came from China. Okay, so pumpkin did originate from America, and it wasn't until the 16th centuries when white people brought it back to Europe, and it became something that is enjoyed by people worldwide gradually. Another thing I can tell you is in the early 1930s, 1920s, um, when they first started making canned pumpkins for people, those actually turned out to not be pumpkins at all. What they put in the can were actually squash. And yeah, I know squash, pumpkin, kind of the same thing for a lot of people, but uh, yeah, it's not quite the same. So anyway, we got three suited action figures standing here. I don't know if you guys can figure out who they are. If you can, leave it in the comment section if you can figure out who these guys were supposed to be. I can give you a hint. They're all Marvel characters. Okay? Uh, but they have all been cursed with a serious case of pumpkin heads. Their head have been turned into pumpkins, and this is related to the power and the uh, story of the figure we're going to be looking at today for National Pumpkin Pie Day. What better than to look at a pumpkin creature? So today I'm going to introduce you to Pumpkin Wrapper from Power Rangers. Pumpkin Wrapper is one of the, arguably one of the lowest powered creatures ever been shown. Well, not counting the cannon fodder, the um, regular troop builder guys, but one of the main monsters. Pumpkin Rapper was actually one of the lowest powered one. Heck, the Power Rangers didn't even need to combine into their Megazord super giant robot form to defeat him. Most of the monsters they would fight until the Power Rangers have to combine their power and form the giant robot, and they have this giant robot versus monster fight. but not Pumpkin Wrapper. He got defeated without the giant robot. That's how disappointing he was. Another thing I can tell you about the creation of Pumpkin Wrapper is back in the 90s when the Power Ranger first got brought over to the United States. Uh, as some of you might know, Power Rangers actually came from Japan, and most of the original footage and design and the monsters were from the Japanese series. Well, originally they were only going to do 40 episodes, but after 40 episodes, the Power Rangers turned out to be so popular with United States children, so the network decided to contract for more monsters, more story to be made, but they wanted the monsters to be more Americanized and more things that related to United States, white people, and stuff like that. So one of the result was pumpkin wrapper. Okay, pumpkin, as we mentioned, is something that totally America, and then rap, that's definitely something that started in the U.S. I think. So you have a giant monster pumpkin who speak in rhymes and rap throughout the whole show. Yeah, you can't get much more American than that on a Power Rangers show. Anyway, without further ado, I'm going to show you the first set of photos we have of these figures. I don't have the box anymore, so I'm going to show you the accessories and the some posing and just have some fun with the figure itself. And then we'll be back and I'll talk a little bit more about it. Made by Hasbro for the Power Rangers Monsters line, the pumpkin wrapper stands about 7.5 inches tall, has 33 points of articulation. He has 3 additional pumpkin heads that you can put on your standard Hasbro figures to turn them into minions or victims. 2 different lengths of vine, a long one and a short one, and he also comes with a swirling energy effect. He also has 2 extra hands, although mine seems to be missing one of them. And now let's take a deeper dive as what or who was the pumpkin wrapper. So, excuse me. So, there's not much to the story, as most Power Rangers story were pretty simple. So, basically, while the Power Rangers were occupied, a couple of the bad guys snuck into the pumpkin patch and planted this monster pumpkin called Pumpkin Wrapper. But it took a while for the pumpkin to grow up into its monster form. So to protect the pumpkin, they also planted a bunch of trap pumpkins, which, if triggered, would jump onto the person's head and envelop a person's head and suffocate them, or it would summon these pretty patrol foot soldier bad guys, foot soldier people that have their head uh, were pumpkins. So these were actually quite nasty traps, and the rangers showed up and tried to dispose of them and almost got suffocated before they got rescued by, I think it was a Green Ranger that rescued them. I can't remember. Like Power Rangers to me, largely nonsense because they were all color related. And for a blind guy, when you say Black Ranger, Green Ranger, blah blah blah, it's like, oh yeah, okay, whatever. They were all the same. Oops, got a little malfunction here. I'm going to talk about that in a little bit. You just keep on standing. I'm going to turn him, excuse the hand. This guy is cool, but also very frustrating. As you guys can imagine, with that giant pumpkin head, one of the main problem you're going to have is balancing him. Okay, there we have. Now he's in profile view. Anyway, so um, after disposing of the trapped pumpkins, they finally woke up the pumpkin wrapper itself, and they had this battle where he started out looking pretty strong. He used his vine, like this vine on his arm here, and he used that and whipped all the weapons out of the Power Rangers' hand. Uh, and then pretty much they combined all their weapons into one giant blaster and toasted him, and that was the end of his story. Like I said, one of the weaker showing, one of the weaker monsters. Uh, about the most memorable part about him was that he talked in rhymes, aka he rapped. Um, Honestly, I never watched a lot of the Power Rangers, and I only knew this much about the pumpkin wrapper by reading the Wikipedia entry. But even without knowing his backstory, come on, a giant pumpkin dude, pumpkin monster. This guy is awesome. Like I don't need any backstory for something like this. He's basically green and orange, with a giant upside down jack o' lantern head. Uh, I don't know why it's upside down. Can anyone tell me why? What made them design so his face is upside down? Um, and then his body is basically this combination of plant, uh, vines, and this kind of a checkered, quilted look. Uh, I guess kind of like a scarecrow. I guess his body is very skinny. His head is really big. Uh, which I might as well talk about the two biggest problem with this figure. One doesn't matter to me. The other one really annoying. Okay, the one that doesn't matter to me is he has a lack of paint. There's a lot of places on this guy that should be painted. It's not painted properly. Uh, is it problematic? Yes. Does it matter to me? No. It doesn't. It doesn't uh, affect me from being able to enjoy this figure. Now, the other problem, however, he is extremely hard to balance because of this giant head, and because he's really well articulated. So even though most of the joints are pretty nice and tight, there's some joint, like the leg, that's a little bit on the loose side. And some of the joint, like in the ankle, like this is really, really loose in the ankle. Right? Uh, and the joints have this gummy quality to it. So even though he has a lot of articulation, it's hard to utilize them without being really frustrated by him, right? Um, he is one of those figures that when the weather gets warm, he's going to dive headlong off your shelf because his joints get too soft when the weather gets warmer. Now, accessory is where this guy really, really shine with a large, this energy effect, this spiraling energy effect that can clip over his arm. This thing is quite large, almost the size of an ice cream cone, actually. Um, and then he has a one short vine and one much longer vine, and both of them can act as lassos, as you can lasso your other figures to grab them as his victim. This longer one actually is stiff enough that you can use it to prop him up on the shelf as well. Although that even that is a bit of a touch and go proposition. Because of the design, his head is not super mobile. Like yeah, you can kind of nod up and down and tiny bit of tilt side to side. Obviously, it can rotate left and right. That part's no problem. Uh, yeah, yeah, this guy is really hard to stand. Uh, like, ow, stop falling over. annoying. Oh, okay, now you're going to fall over backward? Really? Okay, are you going to stay standing? Yes. Okay, thank you. Yeah, you guys see the struggle. I will tell you, those photos that I took me a good almost 2 hours to get them done because of how often things fell over. Uh, Now, the really fun accessories, uh, I would say, are the three pumpkins that he come with. These are not just like regular pumpkins. These pumpkins have a hole on the bottom, and it's a fully sculpted ball joint, and this will go over the neck of figures such as these ones, like your general regular Marvel, Hasbro figures. You can just take their head off and then pop on the pumpkin head, and voila, pumpkin wrapper's got friends. Okay, I love that feature. I love when action figures come with uh, things that you can turn other figures into part of their display. That's really cool, especially when I'm sure a lot of you are in the same situation where you have figures that you just don't really care for, and you kind of like it's ashamed to throw them out, but you don't really care to display them. But in this case, pop off their head and pop on the pumpkin, and yeah, they suddenly become a lot more interesting on your display with the pumpkin wrapper. Um, Comparing to most other 6-inch figures, pumpkin wrapper is a little larger, but most of that is his head. He's about 7.5 inches tall, very scrawny, and honestly, he's just on his own makes a really cool uh, display piece around Halloween time, or if you want to celebrate National Pumpkin Pie Day. So there's not much else I can say. So I'm going to show you guys the last set of photos where we have some nice, fun size comparisons and pumpkin wrapper enslaving his three pumpkin minions and standing alongside some other plant type monsters. Thank you for checking out today's video. I'll see you guys later. As much as I don't care for the character itself, this turned out to be a lot more fun than I thought this character or this figure would be. It's large enough to intimidate your regular size figure and stand in great with your other plant monsters and just make a cool display for Halloween, if nothing else. Not to mention, right now you can probably hunt around and find this guy cheaper than $15. And for that, you're getting yourself a quite large action figure with a unique design and a lot of cool accessories.